I think it's time that we finish off the real War for Cybertron trilogy. No, not that kind of bad Netflix show. No, the trifecta of parts-forming sublines within the War for Cybertron trilogy. So far, I've covered a weaponizer and a fossilizer, so it's only fair that we cover a modulator too. This is Ironworks from the Earthrise subline. He's based on an old Micromaster playset, although Ironworks was originally the name of the Micromaster truck the playset came with, not the playset itself, which is probably why the Siege version of that Micromaster was named Iron Tread instead. Just once, I'd like something I'm into to not be unnecessarily confusing. In robot form, I think he looks pretty neat. The yellow and red pop out nicely from the blacks and greys. His head has a fun monocolour mouthplate / visor combo, and I'm always a fan of asymmetry in bots, so I dig the arms and the crane hand that I assume is massively inconvenient for him in his day-to-day life. Although I would have preferred had they not spaffed wash onto the yellow. Like, I know what they were going for. I've used enough Agrax Earthshade in my life to completely understand using washes to make things look grimy, but that requires a delicate hand to do properly and was perhaps a little beyond mass production at this kind of price. At least my copy seems to be less egregious than some of the examples I've seen, and so can be easily ignored. I've seen it said that Ironworks was extensively retooled to make Slammer, and they do share some parts around the hips and thighs, but above the waist they're totally different, so I wouldn't blame anyone for not noticing that particular bit of trivia. He poses about as well as you'd expect from this sort of thing, although his waist and one of his arms are notable since that one arm has a double hinge on its elbow due to transformation, and his waist is unusual. It's not actually connected to his torso in any meaningful way, but instead to a hinge on the back panel, so to get movement out of it, it actually pivots around that, which is very odd. He comes with a couple of objects that notionally look like guns and can be wielded as one big gun or in separate pieces as weapons or smokestacks or whatever. Plus, if shelf space is an issue for you, then you can lower his chest bucket to provide an extra shelf for a Micromaster or a Botbot or whatever. As for his transformation, well, modulators are much like weaponizers and fossilizers in that they are rendered down into parts and reassembled into something else. What makes modulators different is that they become little playsets rather than vehicles or, like, dinosaur skeletons. So Ironworks becomes an Ironworks. Look, nobody said it was a clever name. Since it uses the airlock system for a lot of the surfaces on it, it can be connected to various other bits like, I don't know, Black Rorichi's crotch. And if you don't have them, then you can always, just push Micromasters down the ramp too. You'll also sometimes see him reconfigured into this tower mode based on the original playset's alternate mode, which sadly does not have a windmill like the original had, making it worthless. Yeah, I'm not 100% sold on the playset alt modes, but I suppose if you're a bigger fan of base modes than I am, you might enjoy them. Plus, it's not like you can't just assemble them into something else if you don't like what it turns into. I call this one the Industrial Ostrich. Although the real fun of these toys is, as ever, using their parts on other bots to make armour or weapons. This is just as entertaining as on the other toys that I've talked about, and the chunky construction look brings a very different vibe to any figure you use it on. Plus the bucket makes for a very funny impromptu helmet. I suppose given his playset origins, you could also use him to make furniture or battle platforms if you like. And yes, I did find a way to combine it with the other two parts formers I've covered to make something vaguely humanoid. Thank you for asking. So, as a cheap eBay pickup, he's been a fun addition to the collection. But I also wouldn't be surprised if modulators didn't come back either.